It's July 18th, 1863. The air is thick with the salty tang of the Atlantic as waves pound the shores of Morris Island, South Carolina. In the moonlight, a line of soldiers, men of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, stand ready, their bayonets gleaming faintly. This is no ordinary unit. These are African-American soldiers, many former slaves, preparing to lead a desperate charge against the Confederate stronghold of Fort Wagner. Their mission: to prove their courage in a war that could redefine a nation. Tonight, we tell the story of the Battle of Fort Wagner, a pivotal moment in the American Civil War that showcased the bravery of the 54th Massachusetts and changed the course of history. Join us as we explore the context, the courage, and the legacy of this fateful night. By the summer of 1863, the Civil War had raged for 2 years. The Union was determined to cripple the Confederacy by capturing Charleston, South Carolina, a bustling port city and the cradle of secession. To do so, they needed to take Fort Wagner, a fortress of sand and timber on Morris Island, bristling with cannons and Confederate troops. Its walls, surrounded by moats and sharpened palisades, made it a nearly impregnable barrier to Charleston Harbor. But this battle wasn't just about strategy. It was about something deeper. In 1863, the Union began enlisting African-American soldiers, a bold and controversial move. Among the first was the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, led by the young, idealistic Colonel Robert Gould Shaw. These men, many of whom had escaped slavery, were driven by a fierce desire to prove their worth. As Frederick Douglass declared, "Once let the black man get upon his person the brass letters U.S., let him get an eagle on his button and a musket on his shoulder. There is no power on earth which can deny that he has earned the right to citizenship." The 54th was eager to fight, not just for the Union, but for their own dignity. Men like Sergeant William Kearny, born into slavery, saw this as a chance to strike a blow against oppression. But the road to Fort Wagner would test their resolve like never before. On July 11, 1863, the Union tried to take Fort Wagner in a small-scale assault and failed. The Confederate defenders, led by General William Taliaferro, held firm behind their sand walls. A week later, Union commanders planned a larger, all-out attack. The 54th Massachusetts would lead the charge, a decision that placed immense pressure on these untested soldiers. As dusk fell on July 18th, nearly 600 strong advanced across a narrow strip of beach, hemmed in by the ocean on one side and marshland on the other. Confederate artillery roared, shells bursting overhead, while musket fire tore through their ranks. The 54th pressed forward, their regimental colors, a symbol of their pride, fluttering in the chaos. The fort loomed closer, its walls towering over a deadly moat. Colonel Shaw, just 25 years old, led from the front, urging his men onward. "Forward, 54th!" he shouted, as they scrambled up the sandy slopes. But the Confederate defenders unleashed a hail of bullets and canister shot, cutting down dozens. Shaw reached the parapet, sword in hand, only to fall, struck down in an instant. In the chaos, Sergeant William Kearny saw the regimental colors falter. Wounded, he seized the flag, planting it defiantly on the parapet. Despite bullets tearing through his body, he held it high, rallying his comrades. The 54th fought fiercely, some reaching the fort's interior, but the Confederate defenses were too strong. After hours of brutal combat, the Union forces retreated, leaving the beach littered with the fallen. The Union suffered over 1,500 casualties that night, with the 54th losing 246 men, nearly half their number. Fort Wagner remained in Confederate hands, a bitter defeat for the Union. But the courage of the 54th would echo far beyond that blood-soaked beach. In the aftermath, the Confederates buried Colonel Shaw in a mass grave with his men, intending it as an insult. Yet Shaw's family saw it differently, declaring it an honor for him to rest among his soldiers. The 54th's losses were staggering, but their bravery sent a powerful message. Sergeant Kearney, who carried the flag through hell and back, became the first African American to earn the Medal of Honor, a testament to their sacrifice. The Battle of Fort Wagner proved that African American soldiers could fight with unmatched valor. It silenced doubters in the North, spurring the enlistment of nearly 180,000 black troops by war's end. Though Fort Wagner held out until September 1863, when it fell after a prolonged siege, the 54th's charge reshaped perceptions of race and courage in America. The story of the 54th inspired the 1989 film Glory, bringing their heroism to new generations. The Battle of Fort Wagner was more than a military defeat. It was a triumph of the human spirit. The men of the 54th Massachusetts, through their courage and sacrifice, proved that valor knows no color. Their legacy endures in the fight for justice and equality, a reminder that heroes can change the course of history. We invite you to learn more about the Civil War and the contributions of African American soldiers. Visit a local museum, read the letters of Robert Gould Shaw, or explore the stories of men like William Kearney. Their courage still speaks to us today. Thank you for joining us in remembering the Battle of Fort Wagner, a moment where death and glory met, and a nation took a step toward freedom. In honor of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment,